Professors and my fellow students, please remember to stay mute and keep your camera turned off if you're not asking questions. For tech support, you can send us messages via the public chat for assistance. The seminar is about to begin. Honorable guests, esteemed professors, and my fellow students, welcome to the joint seminar series held by the College of Business and the School of Law. I'm Vicky, a year two student majoring in Global Business System Management from the Department of Information Systems. It is my pleasure to be your master of ceremony for today's event. On behalf of City U, I would like to welcome all of you for this seminar series. This event is organized by City U College of Business and City U School of Law. The joint seminar series aims to facilitate innovative idea exchange between professors and students from different faculties and areas of studies. Students are encouraged to think outside the box through engaging with emerging technologies to create powerful and impactful global solutions. Today, we're extremely fortunate to have Dr. Kwon Joo-hee from the College of Business to deliver the seminar. Dr. Kwon is an associate professor of the information system at City University of Hong Kong. She received her PhD from the Cornell School of Management at Purdue University. Her research interests include information security, healthcare IT business values, and business IT alignment. Her research articles have appeared in academic journals such as MIS Quarterly, Information System Research, Journal of Management Information Systems, and Journal of the American Medical Informatics Association. Now, I would like to invite Professor Y.D. Glenn, the Associate Dean and Professor of School of Law, to present a souvenir on behalf of the School of Law to Dr. Kwon.
Okay. Thank you. Oh.
Today, Dr. Kwon Joo-hee talk is entitled Meaningful Healthcare Security. Does meaningful use attestation improve information security performance? In the U.S. healthcare sector, a certification mechanism for meaningful use attestation was recently adopted. Dr. Kwon will discuss how meaningful use attestation influences the occurrence of data breaches, with its contingent impact on the nature of data breaches and the time frame. On the other hand, assessing hospitals observes short-term increase in accidental internal breaches, but eventually see long-term reductions. Therefore, Dr. Kwon's finding offer theoretical and practical insights into effective design of the certification mechanisms. Without further ado, I would like to welcome Dr. Kwon.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for introducing me. Okay. Hello, everyone. Yeah. I'm Joo-hee Won. Yeah. So I'm the IS Department, College of Business. So I'm very happy to have chance to present my study in this seminar. So thank you all for attending my presentation. Okay, so let me start my presentation. Today, I'm going to talk about meaningful healthcare security. So these studies try to answer this question. Does meaningful use attestation improve information security performance? So here in the meaningful use attestation is the name of healthcare security certification. This certification was introduced by US federal regulations in 2009. So in this paper, assess the impact of this the healthcare security certification on security performance. Okay, so then let me. Okay, I will start. Okay, can I click? Can I move? It doesn't work. Okay. So first I want to show this one. Look at this one. This is the these are the medical doctors' handwritten prescriptions. So they are too bad to understand, right? And then here, here are some kind of joke was in the U.S. healthcare sectors. Look at this. Here is the medical alphabet. Nobody understands this one. Okay, so actually medical doctors' bad handwritten prescription was the nationwide issues in 2000 in the U.S. healthcare sectors. So here, look at this, the news articles in 2007. So this cause of that, look at this, doctors' sloppy handwriting kills more than 7,000 people annually. Then, according to the national report, the preventable medication mistakes injured more than 1.5 million Americans annually. So those errors result from unclear abbreviations and dosage indication and illegible writings. So in the bad handwritten, the prescription occurred a lot of problems in 2000s. Then the illegible handwriting was responsible for about the 61% of medication errors in the US hospitals. So then at that time, then hospitals tried to solve these issues. Then many hospitals started to adopt the electronic healthcare record systems to improve patient safety and quality of care. So look at this graph. This graph shows the rate of the EHR adoption, the adoption rate of EHR systems from 2009 to 2016. And then 2009, the 48% of US hospitals adopt EHR systems. But in the 2016, 85% of hospitals adopted healthcare record systems. And then many hospitals just have adopted electronic healthcare systems. But there are some issues. Look at this one. And then the rise in the adoption of EHR system also create the rise number of data breaches. And look at this graph again. The red line shows the number of data breaches from 2009 to 2016. So the number of data breaches continue to increase. Look at this. 2009, just 18 data breaches occurred, and then 2016, the 329 healthcare data breaches occurred. Then there are the two main reasons. The first reason is the digitalization of healthcare data created a larger pool of data to easily steal. So all the patient data were digitalized. Department Health and Human Services. So look at I want to show this one. Oh, okay. This is the Wall of Shame website. This is the website of Department Health and Human Services. Look at this. This in the breaches affecting more than 500 patients that were posted to this website. Okay. So then the HITECH Act have very strict breach notification rules. Then if on the regulatory violation, this HITECH Act imposed monetary fines up to $1.5 million per incident based on each incident's severity. Okay, so this is about the strict approach. The HITECH Act also introduced the carrot approach. So this HITECH Act provides some kind of certification schemes. It is called meaningful use attestations. So this study focused on these certification schemes. These certification schemes requires hospitals to adopt the security mechanisms in their systems, right? And then this HITECH Act requires hospitals to attest their meaningful use of the electronic health record systems And then if hospitals attest to meaningful use attestation, this government provide the financial incentives. So this certification scheme is very unique characteristics because it offers financial incentives to hospitals. Okay. Then in our focus on this, the meaningful use attestation for information security. So let me explain more details about the certification schemes. Actually, certification schemes have long been employed as the useful tools for improving quality management, especially in operation management. Right? For example, the ISO 9000, the ISO 14000, those certifications try to improve some quality management or environmental factors. Right? Then in the US government, US healthcare sectors introduce such certification schemes for information security in healthcare sector. So this meaningful use attestation in the aims to assessing effective and safe usage of EHR systems beyond the simple adoption of EHR systems. So many hospitals just adopt EHR systems, but they didn't meaningfully utilize EHR systems. So this certification requires hospitals to meaningfully use EHR systems. Okay, so I want to give more details about meaningful use attestations. Okay, so meaningful use attestation, meaningful use of EHR system is the first approach to offer incentives linked to certification schemes in information security. Okay, so in the meaningful use, the promote hospitals' effort for meaningful use EHR systems using the stimulus dollars. So incentives are the huge. So the incentives are provided for healthcare providers attesting to the meaningful use. This is the incentives is up to $46,000 for physicians, the $2 million US dollars for hospitals. It's a huge incentives. Then in the meaningful use program that consists of 3 stages. But in each stage has its own purpose. The meaningful use, the stage 1 meaningful use focus on achieving the safe data capture and sharing. And then stage 2 and stage 3 focus on achieving advanced clinical processes and improve outcomes. Then this study focus on information security. Then this study focus on stage 1 meaningful use attestation. Okay. Then also I want to introduce the specific requirement of meaningful use stage 1 attestations. So in this meaningful use stage 1 meaningful use requires the 14 core measures, 14 core requirement. Also in the 10 optional requirement. But in the hospitals can choose the 5 requirement out of 10 optional the requirement. Then in the stage 1 meaningful use requires 19 measures, the 19 requirement. But among the 14 core measures, the 1 core measure requires hospitals security mechanisms. So look at this requirement. This is about the protecting health, the electronic health, the information. So objective is to protect electronic health information created or maintained by certified EHR technology through the implementation of appropriate technical capabilities. So this is a specific requirement is just related to legal requirement. Can you see this one? 45 CFR 164 308. Look at this can you see this one? This is the specific legal requirement. It has provide very specific requirement here. It requires the security management, standardized security management process. So this requirement requires hospitals to implement 4 specifications. So one is a risk analysis, the risk management, the sanction policy, and information system activity review, the audit processes. So then the hospitals should meet all those requirements. Then hospitals can successfully attest to their meaningful use of EHR systems. Then just so far I explained what the meaningful use attestation is. Then based on the US healthcare environment, we try to examine the impact of meaningful use attestation on the information security. Okay, so spurred by the financial incentives, the rapid push of meaningful use attestation motivate us to quantify the effect of the healthcare security. Okay, so and then the quite a number of studies examine the impact of security regulation imposing punishment. But there is the little security studies which address the impact of certification program having the monetary incentives. So this is very unique. We thought this is very unique contribution of these studies. Also in the operation management researchers already demonstrated the impact of certification requirements such as ISO 9000 series kind of things. Then they demonstrated the certification requirement decreased defect rate and improved quality. But in the information security is different from the operation management. In the information security has the unique characteristics distinguished from operation management. So unlike the operation management focusing on the internal risks, the information security context must address not only internal risks, but also external threats, such as hackers attacks. Okay, so in operation management, the companies need to focus on their internal processes, right? Internal risk factors. But in the information security, the companies need to consider in the internal and external risk factors because the hackers just can attack the companies. So look at this statistic. Who are the bad guys? Okay, and then generally data breaches can be categorized 3 types based on the who are the attackers, based on the types of attackers. And then look at this, the 42% of data breaches occurred by outsiders, the external hackers. Okay, and then 33% of data breaches occurred by careless insiders. The 25% of data breaches occurred by the malicious insiders with some kind of malicious intentions. Then in the information security context has more diverse threat and higher uncertainty. Then the understanding the impact of certifications on the information security can extend the existing certification theories. Okay, so then based on this context, we developed these research questions. So this study tried to answer the following questions. How does the certification scheme influence diverse healthcare data breaches? The healthcare data breaches consider 3 types of data breaches. Okay, and then external breaches by hackers attacks, the internal breaches by careless and malicious insiders. So we name them the accidental internal breaches and the malicious internal breaches. Okay, so answering those questions can provide policy insight on effective security program. Okay, then so with these research questions, I searched some kind of theories related to the certification schemes. So in the previous studies examined the impact of certifications on some quality or some other factors mainly in the operation management area. Okay, so but I found in the 2 types of the theories and the 2 the theoretical basis. One is one theory has the positive perspective and the other one has the negative perspective. Okay, so from a positive perspective of certifications, previous studies utilized organizational learning theory. So organizational learning theory argued that to the extent greater organization efforts are exerted to acquire certifications, the firm's capabilities can improve. Then firms try to meet the requirement from the certification. Then what firms can learn something from during the process. Then this is the organizational learning theory that support the positive impact of certification schemes. From the negative perspective, some previous studies utilize bureaucratism. So in the previous studies argue that institutional pressures can make the certification loosely associated with the actual practices. So then in this kind of the institutional pressures just create the checkbox mindset. Just in the organization just try to the minimum requirement, meet the minimum requirement. They don't want to something beyond the requirement. Then what just in the create the checkbox mindset, then it doesn't help the actual performance. This is some negative perspectives. Then in this study just utilize both the perspectives, but because in the information security have the diverse security threat, and just in then this study employed both theories. Okay, so based on the theories, we developed the hypothesis. In the first hypothesis addressed the threat of the external breaches by the external hackers. Okay, so then in the healthcare sectors generally lag behind security systems compared to other industries like some financial industry. The financial industry has a long history about the cyber attacks and defense. Then in the financial industry has really some highly advanced security system, but the healthcare sector is in some kind of lag behind the other industries. Then hospitals then this can imply the word certification requirement can help hospitals to learn critical and basic security practices. Right? During meeting the certification requirement, hospitals can learn critical and basic security requirement. But on the other hand, there is kind of some increasing pressures because external breaches occurred by external hackers. Then external hackers continue to find the new ways to attack. Then in the external security threat continue to be evolving. Then there is the high pressure to continually scan for evolving security threat. Then we expect meaningful use attestation may become less effective over time because hackers try to find the new ways to attack. So then in the hypothesis 1 argued that meaningful use attestation is negatively associated with the occurrence of external breaches in the short term, but not associated with the long term. There was some positively associated with the long term. And then the next hypothesis addressed the threat of the accidental internal breaches. Okay, so the accidental internal breaches occurred by careless behavior without any intention of harm. Okay, so the accidental internal breaches some kind of include the low-tech incident. The low-tech incident means some kind of in the employees just accidentally exposed the patient data to the website, or some employees lost some their flash drivers kind of things. Then the low-tech incidents just occurs due to the ambiguity between the to do and not to do, right? But in the hospitals didn't have any clear the policies, the security policies. So many medical staffs work work in some cafe or some other there at home, but sometimes it's kind of very high risks, right? Then there is kind of some ambiguity in the security policies. So the certification regimes can be effective for those kind of the leakages, right? Because certification regimes can help hospitals to set up clear security policies. Like cultivating standardized management processes can help both detection and prevention of such accidental leakages. Okay. Then in the standardized management process can help hospitals to find the more accidental breaches in the short term, and then it will be able to ultimately observe decrease in accidental breaches by learning from prior mistakes. So then in the hospital, actually many accidental breaches occurs, but in the some by mistakes, right? And then sometimes hospitals cannot find the such leakages. Then this is a standardized management process can help detect such accidental the leakages, also ultimately prevent the accidental leakages. Okay, this is the last hypothesis. The last hypothesis addressed the threat of malicious internal breaches by malicious insiders. So in the malicious insiders exhibit a wide spectrum of motivation, from the desire for the financial gain to retaliation for mistreatment. The financial gain means that actually patient data is very expensive in the black market, right? Then in the malicious insiders can sell the patient information in the black market. Also, just a very disgruntled employees just so want to retaliate the hospitals kind of things. There is a wide spectrum of motivations. So the many cases in the malicious internal breaches are related to organizational issues rather than technological or security issues. Many some kind of the financial gain, but personal issues and organizational issues. In the malicious, the breaches are more related to those the non-technological issues. But however, meaningful use attestation focus on implementing security checklist and then evaluation of security systems. So more technological or security perspectives. The insider is trusted and privileged regardless the number of adopted security practices. So even though the hospitals adopt many security systems, the insiders already know how to access to the systems, right? They have some kind of login ID and password. They can easily access to the internal systems. Then just in the number of adopted security systems are open use list. Therefore, the data could be vulnerable to malicious insiders despite the meaningful use attestations. Then the hypothesis 3 argue that meaningful use attestation is not associated with occurrence of malicious internal breaches. Okay, so in order to test those hypotheses, then this study collected data from the public databases. The first, the hospital's meaningful use attestation information came from the CMS. CMS stands for Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, the US healthcare website, the government website. This website provides a list of hospitals which attested to the meaningful use. And then the total number of hospitals were the 4193 and 4139 hospitals from 2010 to 2013. Well, among them, the 2743 hospitals attest their meaningful use. Then in the 1396 hospitals didn't attest to their meaningful use. Then we collected the hospital information from HIMSS database. The HIMSS stands for Healthcare Information and Management System Society Analytics Database. So this database provides a number of adopted the healthcare and security applications, also some kind of other organizational characteristics, number of bed size, the operating expense, some other organization types such as academic institution or not. was some kind of a single hospital system, so a multi-hospital system kind of things. Okay, so then in the I put some kind of the simple statistics and the number of bed, those operating systems on the IT strategic plan was the number of the security application, the number of EHR systems, and some number of the hospital administration systems. So and then also we need to collect the data breaches. The data breaches came from the HH's Wall of Shame website. At the beginning of this presentation, I showed some screenshot, right? We collect the data breaches from the website. This website includes the data breaches affecting more than 500 patients. So this study utilized data breaches, privacy, right? The clearinghouse website. This website also provides some the data breaches with a very specific description. Okay, so we collected the 824 data breaches from 2010 to 2014. Okay, so this is the simple statistics in the external and accidental, the malicious the data breaches. And then so the three types of data breaches were categorized based on their descriptions. Okay, so I just want to show these things. And then as the external data breaches in some kind of malware detection and the antivirus, the virus attacks and the malware attack kind of things. The accidental breaches include kind of encrypted thumb drives was lost, right? Then this is categorized into the accidental data breaches. Also some two dishonest nurse and the gathered information kind of things. Then based on these descriptions, we categorized data breaches into the three types: external breaches, accidental internal, and malicious internal breaches. Okay, so so far I explained our data set. Then with this data set, then our research context have some kind of the potential selection bias issues. Okay, so from the observable and unobservable factors. So in order to test our hypothesis, we need to address those selection bias issues. So then first, in the selection bias from the observable factors means that hospitals have less breaches, more likely to attest to their meaningful use. So for example, hospitals have advanced security system. They didn't have any experience the data breaches. Then what? They are more likely to attest the meaningful use, right? But we need to consider these issues. Also, from the selection bias from unobserved factors, some address in this case in the hospitals with the security cultures, better security cultures are more likely to attest to meaningful use. That means what the security culture means in the hospitals can have some better medical steps or the better security steps in the IT steps. Then in our study, do not have any data about the security culture of the hospitals. Then this is the omitted variables. Then we need to consider this omitted variable, the impact of this omitted variable. Okay. Then in order to solve those selection bias issues, then this study adopts two approaches: the propensity score matching and difference in differences approach. So in the propensity score matching can address the selection bias from the observable factors, right? And then this propensity score select treatment and control groups. Treatment group have hospitals attesting to meaningful use, and control group include hospitals which did not attest to meaningful use. Then those groups are resemble each other in all other observable characteristics before the meaningful use attestations. Then this matching create the statistical equivalence between two groups, treatment and control group. then we can see the impact of meaningful use attestations on the information security in the post attestation period. And then differences address the selection bias from unobserved factors. Then it estimates the changes in the hospital's security breaches between pre and post attestation period. Right? Then the difference between the pre and post attestation period for each hospital so allow us to control for influence on observed factors. Because this difference in each hospital's the baselines, right, in the before and the pre and post attestation period. Then we combine the propensity score matching and difference in differences. Okay, so then I want to show our research design. Our research design has the 3 steps. In the first steps, utilize the logic model to estimate propensity scores for all observations. Okay, so in this logic model, just look at the propensity of the propensity of hospitals' meaningful use attestations. Say the logic model include the prior breach, how the prior breaches, bed size, operating expense, all these characteristic affect hospitals' the meaningful use attestation. Okay, so in the next step, then in the first step is to estimate the propensity scores, and based on the estimated propensity scores, in the second step, match treatment and control hospitals. Then in this second step, just utilize optimal matching technique. And then the last step in the third steps, so this research analyzed the impact of meaningful use attestations with the 2 groups between the 2 period, pre and post attestation period. Okay, then I will give more details for each steps. In the first steps, use the logic model to estimate the propensity scores, right? And then logic model estimate the probabilities of hospitals' meaningful use attestations by including the other characteristics, prior breaches, bed size, kind of things. Then here are the results. This result show that prior breaches impact hospitals' meaningful use attestation. Look at this one, external breaches and the accidental malicious breaches have negative effect. Then if hospitals that have the breaches, then those hospitals are less likely to achieve meaningful use. And also in the number of beds has the positive impact. Then large hospitals are more likely to attest meaningful use, right? If hospitals have more security system, also they are more likely to attest meaningful use. Then this logic model estimate the propensity scores. With the estimated propensity scores, optimal matching technique was employed to match the control and the treatment groups. So we utilize the matching difference as the 0.003. And then we matched in the 2 different terms, in the short term and long term. The short term is defined as 12 months, and the long term defined as 24 months. Then in the short term, the 850 treatment hospitals out of 2743 attesting hospitals were the matched to equivalent control hospitals. In the long term, just 619 treatment hospitals were matched to equivalent control hospitals. Okay, so in I put this result at t-test. In this t-test aims to shows the quality of matching, right? Look at this one. You can see the total sample and matched group. In the total sample is just in the whole the hospitals, about the 4,000 hospitals, right? With the total sample, there are those 2 groups have significant differences, right? In the number of beds and then operating expense kind of things, right? You can see significant differences. But in the matched group, there is no significant difference, right? Then in the control group and treatment group has the statistically equivalent, right? Then in the with those the matched group, we analyze the impact of meaningful use attestations. Then treatment model. Oh, do you have any question? Okay. The treatment model compares the treatment model examine the impact of meaningful use attestations, right? In this treatment model compares the changes in external, accidental, malicious internal breaches between pre and post attestation period. Okay, so look at this. This is our equation, the treatment model equations. Data breaches are dependent variables. Then there is the treatment and after meaningful use attestation and the interaction terms. And then the variable treat is the treatment dummy variables, right? If hospitals attest meaningful use, then it has 1, otherwise 0, right? And then the after MU means denote the post attestation period, right? If this is the post attestation period, it takes the 0, that it takes 1, otherwise 0. Then our interest is on these interaction terms, right? The treatment and after meaningful use attestation, post attestation period, right? The parameter shows the changes in breaches for treatment, the hospitals between the post and pre attestation period.
I was.
Okay.
Norman.
Any question? Okay, so then this is the result. Look at this. This is the result for the external breaches. Okay, so here, in the meaningful, look at this result. Those table shows the short term and long term, and then in the short term, the meaningful use attestation lead to better defense against external data breaches. This is a negative coefficient, and they are very significant, right? But look at this. In the long term, those coefficients are not significant. That means the meaningful use attestations do not have any impact in the long term, right? Then just in the meaningful use is not sufficient to defend against ever-changing external threat over time. And then the next one is the accidental breaches, the result for the accidental breaches. And then look at this. In the short term, the coefficients have positive values. In the long term, the coefficients are the negative. Then in our hypothesis, we addressed in the meaningful use attestation can help with the both detection and prevention for accidental breaches, right? Then the discovery of accidental internal breaches increase in short term because this attestation help detections. But in the long term, then meaningful use attestation decrease the accidental data breaches. Then the meaningful use attestation help prevention of accidental internal breaches. Then actually, over time, hospitals see reduction in accidental breaches with the meaningful use attestation. Okay, so then this page shows the result for the malicious internal breaches. Look at this. This result. Okay, and then the results show that meaningful use attestation does not have any impact in short term and long term, right? Because in the malicious internal breaches were caused by some kind of organizational or personal issues, right, rather than security issues, then the meaningful attestation do not have any impact on the malicious internal breaches. Okay, so then I want to summarize the result. And then the first thing, for the external the data breaches, then hospitals observed decrease in the external breaches in 1 year after attestation. However, they did not see any further reduction in the subsequent year, the second year. So in terms of compliance assessment, the meaningful use, the security requirements are grounded in the well-known security risks, right? In the just the low-hanging fruit, right? Then just in the critical and the basic security factors. Then what in the external, the threat continued to be evolving, right? Then the unpredictable and ever-changing nature of external attacks erodes the impact of meaningful use attestation over time. Then this finding what implies that what preventing external breaches requires ongoing effort beyond achieving stage 1 meaningful use. Then this stage 1 meaningful use is not enough to completely prevent external threat. Then this page shows the summarize the result for the accidental breaches. The hospitals better discovered more accidental breaches in the year following the attestation, but these accidental breaches decreased in the long term. Then in the detection and prevention, right? In the organizations often do not realize accidental breaches without standardized and systematic review procedures. So prior to meaningful use attestation, those breaches often went discovered, right? With the meaningful use attestation, hospitals can find accidental data breaches in the short term. But in the long term, hospitals discovered human errors and monitor them through periodic audit. Then this ability ultimately result in actual data protection over time. Then meaningful use, stage 1 meaningful use that can help the decreasing accidental data breaches. And then lastly, this study did not find any association between meaningful use attestation and malicious internal breaches. In the meaningful use requirement focus on implementing security safeguard, but do not address other issues beyond security, the other organizational and personal the issues, right? Then external attacks and accidental internal breaches are more linked to security issues. Then in the meaningful use attestation can partially affect the external breaches and accidental internal breaches, but meaningful use attestation do not have any impact on malicious internal breaches. Then in order to address malicious internal breaches, the organizations must consider more holistic approaches beyond security, right? More organizational and personal issues. Okay, so here are the conclusions. Okay. Our studies are based on some kind of theories in the economics, operations, and information security. Then this study empirically identified how the impact of certification mechanisms on information security varies with the nature of breaches and the time frame. Right? We look at some 3 types of breaches. Also, we look at some 2 time frames, short term and long term. Then the impact of certification has a short lifespan on the prevention of external attacks, whose techniques are rapidly eclipsed by next hacker innovations. And certification does affect accidental internal breaches over time by aiding both detection and prevention. So more breaches are discovered at first, and finally result in better long-term prevention. Okay. Then the meaningful use attestation helps hospitals establish technical and administrative security safeguard. The certification is a useful strategy for laggards who lag behind the standard practices, right? But because the meaningful use attestation focus on implementing critical and the basic security safeguard, then those attestation appropriate for some kind of organizations who lagged behind the security practices. So without the continued security investment and rolling update, the static security certification will become less effective because well, in the security landscape continue to be changing. Then in the static certification cannot prevent involving security threat. Then policymakers should encourage holistic tactics. And the maintaining top security requires addressing a complex combination of both human and organizational factors, along with the most recent security safeguard. Right. Okay, so this is all I have in this seminar. And then, do you have any questions and comment? Okay, any in the chat room can I see the chat room? Okay, I cannot see the chat. I have some question on the channel. Okay, sorry. Okay. I want to ask the PSM. The hospital's meaningful use should be time varying. Is it considered cross-sectional? Okay, so yeah, it's good question. In the meaningful use attestation started in the 2011. Then hospitals have some kind of hospitals can attest in the different time frames, right? Then I use kind of some the relative time frames. Then in the if hospitals the attest in the 2011, then well, in the I just found this the I use the time frame in the before, but then it's the if hospitals attest meaningful use in 2011, then before the 2011 it is after the pre-attestation period has the 0, right? In the post-attestation period is 1 after 2011. If hospitals attest in 2012, then also I have the different time frame, right? In the before 2012, then the meaningful use attestations in the different time frame. In the propensity score matching, then I use just kind of some one-to-one the matchings, right? Then in the based on the in the high the matching difference is in the minimum. Then in the first in the this control hospitals match to the the treatment hospitals, and then this hospitals excluded in the following matchings. Did I answer to your questions? It's in the not cross sectional because in the hospitals one-to-one match.
So thank you, Dr. Kwon. I think we don't have any questions now. So this is the conclusion of the joint seminar today. Once again, I would like to express our deepest gratitude towards the generous support and presence of our honorable guests and participants. I would like to thank our dear guest speaker, Dr. Kwon, too. Thank you all for your participation in this event, and we look forward to seeing your attendance at future events.